All right. Yes, I am. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just an announcement. We await the arrival of our chief guest here this evening. Do bear with us, and the chief guest will be here any moment, and we'll begin the proceedings. Thank you. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're happy to begin the proceedings, but as the first order of this event, I'd like to invite all of you with all my heart, which is filled in pride for our nation, the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, and I'd like to invite you to rise and sing our national anthem. Once again, I extend a welcome. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, supporters, colleagues, and also admirers. Ayubowan, Vanakkam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the 75th birth anniversary commemoration of late M.H.M. Ashraff, President's Council, founder leader of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, founder leader of the National Unity Alliance, former cabinet Minister of Ports, Shipping, Rehabilitation and Reconstruction. We stand to commemorate this evening a gentleman who was more, or rather not, a pluralist. I beg your pardon, a populist. Late M.H.M. Ashraff was rather a person who was a realist, who knew the heartbeat of the people. He was a pluralist in the way of bringing in everyone, diversity and inclusion, who wanted to see a united nation. He was also a strategist, and he was able to garner the right support towards the right vision. Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of this gentleman, we meet today. However, as tradition has it, we'd also like to begin with blessings, and we have a few people to invite to light the oil lamp. I'd like to invite former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumartunga, is our chief guest here. Mr. Azad, I beg your pardon, former President Maithripala Sirisena. Mr. Azad Sali, leader of the National Unity Alliance. Honorable Mahinda Yapa Bewardana, Speaker of Parliament, who will be joining us shortly. Madam Perial Ashraff, wife of late M.H.M. Ashraff. Aman Ashraff, the son of late M.H.M. Ashraff. I'd also like to invite Zahra Ashraff, daughter-in-law of late M.H.M. Ashraff, and also his granddaughter, Sophia Ashraff. Please do us the honors of coming forward and lighting the oil lamp. I'd also like to invite former Minister and Speaker Mr. Karu Jayasuriya to as well join the party in lighting the oil lamp. I'd like to thank the dignitaries and invite them once again to take their seats. Ladies and gentlemen, the late M.H.M. Ashraff had a dream, and it went like this. You can find it in his profiles. Quote, a unified homeland for a people of Sri Lanka. And it was this dream, I believe, that also gave birth to what we know today as the NUA. Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite to address all of you and formally and properly welcome you this evening, Mr. Azad Sali, leader of the National Unity Alliance.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ni'madu salli ala Rasulil Kareem. Amma ba'd. Madam Reverend Priest, clergy from the other religious dignitaries, ministers, members of parliament, today we are here to commemorate Honorable M.H.M. Ashraff, who passed away 23 years ago. Mr. Ashraff is a visionary. He was a cabinet minister during the time of Mrs. Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga. Though it was a very short period, I always said that that was one leader who fulfilled the aspirations of the Muslim community in particular. He fought for what was right. He always stood for what he said. I can remember in '94, when Ashraff was the one and only minister who is going to decide a government, I was given a task of giving a chopper to Honorable Minister to come to Colombo. We wanted him landed at Golface. But after getting into the chopper, he decided that he will not come to Golface but go to Ratmalana. We were informed of this by the Air Force, and President Vijayatunga gave me the vehicle to go up to the airport and bring Ashraff with him. We went to the airport. My gosh, when we saw more than 20 vehicles lined up to bring Mr. Ashraff to Madam Chandrika's house. We spoke to him. He said, "I'm very sorry. Thank you for the chopper ride. I won't be coming because I do not want to betray Madam Chandrika." That was the leader M.H.M. Ashraff was. We followed him to see where he was going, but his straight drive was to Rosemead Place. That is how Minister Ashraff then became the cabinet minister. And we saw the place and the power that was given to him by the former President Chandrika Bandaranaike. We saw Madam and Minister Ashraff holding hands and going to put the speaker in his chair. These are the little things that we saw. We as a community, whenever there was an issue, our ideologies never agreed together. I and Minister Ashraff, we never had the same ideology. But while thinking of the man and the services that he had done compared to other leaders in this community, I always felt and I always said that Ashraff was exemplary. Because the last stages, he knew his death. That is why he had the program at BMICH. He wrote a book. I can remember when Honorable A.C.S. Hamid was dying in hospital at Delman. Both of us were there. And as he passed away, he closed his eyes and he did everything possible to send the body to Kandy. And he told me, "Azad, tomorrow morning I will arrange a chopper. Go to the airport take the two children who are coming from London, because they will miss the janaza because they are going to be taken at 3 o'clock. Like said, I went from Colombo, took the children and went. So he was going into minute details of everybody. And especially A.C. Hamid was so close to him. He was advising him also from time to time. That was M.H.M. Ashraff. When he starts talking, after Mr. Hamid died, he called me home. I went there. He told me, Azad, don't allow anybody to come into my room. Just give me 5 minutes. And he just kept the phone also off. And in that 5 minutes, he wrote a poem about M.H.M. Mr. Hamid. And he read it to me. I was so shocked, the talent that he had for poetry. This was M.H.M. Ashraff. So this function has nothing to do with me. But this party was formed by M.H.M. Ashraff for the only purpose to see that this is no more a Muslim Congress. He took the initiative when every single leader met him and told him, Ahmad Tuma, Obatuma Dakshek, Obatuma Ugak Vadakaran Pulwang, Obatuma Karla Tinama, Karuna Karla me Jatiwade Natua, Obatuma Karuna Karla, Jating Ekau Karan Pulam Paksha Katikaranda. At that moment, that Mr. Ashraff thought that I will start the National Unity Alliance. That was formed, but for I think our faith was that the Muslim community lost a great leader, and today we are commemorating his 23rd death anniversary. I don't want to speak at length, but I must thank the family. Now, when I got the idea of commemorating him, because his party has been broken into several pieces, and every MP has 2-3 political parties. At a stage like that, when I got the National Unity Alliance, the former election commission is also here. He gave me a lot of trouble for registering that. He said, you have nothing to do with NUA. I said, NUA, I have nothing to do. But that's a party that I want to take forward the good work that Minister Ashraff did. So that is how. Then he said, sorry, NUA cannot be registered. Then I called Madam and said, Madam, I'm fighting for this party. She said, you do anything. But I know the pressure that was given by the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress not to give it to me. Nevertheless, the family support was there. I went to the Supreme Court and we obtained the registration. Thank God it is with me. I hope Allah will guide me to do whatever that Mr. Ashraff was thinking that is good to the community and to the country as large. So thank you, Madam. Thank you, Aman. Thank the whole family for all the support given to me to make this event a success. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me pleasure to welcome to welcome you in style. I'd like to invite members of the Naqshbandi Sufi ensemble for a qasida. Assalamu alaik.
Assalamu alayk ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayk ya Habib Allah. Assalamu alayk ya Nabi Allah. Ya Muhammad Nabi Khatam al-Anbiya. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Ya Rabbi salli alayhi wa sallim. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alayhi. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim.
I'd like to thank the Naqshbandi Sufi Ensemble for bringing some color to this evening. And ladies and gentlemen, we will see them again once more. I'd like to invite a special someone to the podium to address all of you. A person who possibly was like a shadow to late M.H.M Ashraff. A person who possibly sat through many of some meetings that were held during his strategizing possibly. A person, I suppose, perhaps, one of the people who misses him the most. Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite to the podium his son, Aman Ashraff, to speak to you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. President Chandrika Bandaranayaka Kumaratunga, President Maitripala Sirisena, Mr. Azad Sali, leader of the National Unity Alliance, Madam Ferial Ismail Ashraff, most venerable members of the clergy, honorable members of parliament, members of the diplomatic corps, dignitaries, guests, dear friends. Assalamu alaikum, Aiboan, and Wanakam. It is with mixed emotions that I stand here today to say a few words about my late father. I say mixed because, needless to say, for myself and my family, his absence is a void that would never be filled. But at the same time, it is with a great sense of pride that I also find myself here today. It is said that most men are remembered merely by their deeds alone. But then in the fullness of time, those memories also fade away. It has been 20 years since the passing of late M.H.M Ashraff. And to see this August gathering here today, filled with so many faces from all walks of life, from other nations as well, it is but a small measure of the impact made by one singular human being on so many lives, and especially to those who are fortunate to have an exchange of words with him, to share his company, to learn from him, and more so. I must on this occasion extend on behalf of my family gratitude and profound thanks to the National Unity Alliance, I beg your pardon, and to Mr. Azad Sali, without whose initiative I don't think we would have an event of this nature. We wouldn't have seen an event of this nature. Many often ask me, what's it like to be the son of M.H.M. Ashraff? It's not an easy question to answer, quite complex. But I feel what is unknown by most is that he was, to a great extent, an individual who was misunderstood by society. He was a person who strived with every ounce of his being to give a voice to the Muslims of Sri Lanka, irrespective of which ethnic denomination they represented. But in doing so, he was misunderstood as being a politician with selfish interests. He committed his life towards a united Sri Lanka with justice and liberty for all Sri Lankans. But again, he was misunderstood to be either a separatist or an extremist. But these hurdles, as it were, did not deter him from his cause. He was an individual who was committed and moved with frightening tenacity. We would often joke amongst ourselves that as a minister, when he goes for his walks at police park grounds, the speed of his walking is such that his personal security guards couldn't keep up with him. I mean, that was just an example of, the man. But his greatest attribute, I would imagine, was his ability to build bridges. He enjoyed with immense gratification the company of his family, near and dear and extended, and the company of his friends from both personal, political, and other spheres alike. And I know that if he were here today, nothing would stop him from sending a few of us outside now to arrange meals and, drinks and so on, and to provide a splendid feast for everyone here, because that was his style. He'd invite his friends over, give them a good meal, and spend as much time with them as possible. So, I do not wish to say more. I merely wish to conclude by thanking all of you, each and every one of you, for taking the time amidst your hectic schedules today, it's a working day, to spend this evening with us. And I wish you all a very pleasant evening once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Aman, for those few words. Ladies and gentlemen, we have something prepared for all of you to watch. So I invite you to please set your sights on the screens that are available. A video has been compiled of late M.H.M. Ashraff.
On the 16th of September 2000, the political trajectory of Sri Lanka and in particular that of the Sri Lankan Muslim community, was altered forever as news of the tragic and untimely death of one of Sri Lanka's political leaders spread across the nation. On the On the 16th of September 2000, the political trajectory of Sri Lanka, and in particular that of the Sri Lankan Muslim community, was altered forever as news of the tragic and untimely death of one of Sri Lanka's political leaders spread across the nation.
முஸ்லிம் காங்கிரஸை பொறுத்தவரை காலி மக்களுக்கு ஒன்றை சொல்லிக் கொள்ள விரும்புகின்றோம். காலி மக்கள் கஷ்டப்பட்ட போதும், காலி மக்கள் அடிக்கப்பட்ட போதெல்லாம் பாராளுமன்றத்திலே பேசுவதற்கு யாரும் இருக்கவில்லை. நாங்கள் அனாதைகளாக இருந்தோம். இனிமேல் அவ்வாறான ஒரு நிலை எங்களுக்கு ஏற்பட மாட்டாது. இன்ஷா அல்லாஹ் பிப்ரவரி மாதம் 15ஆம் தேதியின் பின்பு இந்த நாட்டிலே முஸ்லிம்கள் தலைநிமிர்ந்து வாழ முடியும்.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that gave you a glimpse of the man and the legacy, I suppose, he left behind. Leaders not only do what is right, but also choose to do what is right according to the times they live in order to give inspiration, to identify what is needed and ignite action. I suppose the video showed us a little bit of that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite another person who was alluded to during the welcome address. We'd like to listen more from this gentleman. He's known for his eloquence and attraction. Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite to the podium the former Commissioner of Elections, Mr. Mahinda Deshapriya, to speak a few words.
අයිබෝවන් මාලේ වන්දනම් අස්සලාම් අලයිකුම් good evening. කාලය ඉතිරි කර ගැනීමට අවශ්‍ය බැවින් කතාවට පෙර මේ අවස්ථාවට සහභාගී වන සෑම අතුරින් පිරිසක් විශේෂ කර අවසර ගැනීමේ සම්ප්‍රදායෙන් තොරව මම්මගේ අදහස් දැක්වීම ආරම්භ කරමි. එය සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මම කරන වැඩක්. දිවංගත ජනාධිපති නීතිඥ M.H.M Ashraff මහතාගේ 75 වන උපන්දිනය හා සැබැඳිව එතුමා සමරනුවස් පැවැත්වන මේ උත්සවයේදී කතාවක් පැවැත්වීමට ලැබීම මාගේ භාග්‍යයක් කොට සලකනවා. ඒ නිසා මට මේ අවස්ථාව ලබා දීම ගැන සංවිධායකයන්ට විශේෂයෙන්ම අපේ මිත්‍ර අසස්සාදලි මහතාට ස්තුතියි. මෑතකාලීන ශ්‍රී ලංකා දේශපාලනයේ වචනේ පරිසමාප්ත අර්ථයෙන් දැවැන්තෙක් දැවන්ත දේශපාලනඥයෙකු එතුමා පිළිබඳව මෙවැනි සාකච්ඡාවක් අද වගේ දවසක දේශපාලනයේ දිශානතිය පැහැදිලි නැති කලක අත්‍යවශ්‍ය කරුණක්. දේශපාලනයිකුට අමතරව එතුමා දෙමළ බසින් කවි ලියූ කවියෙක්, ජනමාධ්‍යවේදියෙක්, නීතිඥයෙක්, පසුව ජනාධිපති නීතිඥයෙක්. ඒත් ඒ මහතාගේ චරිතයෙන් අපි හඳුනාගත් එක් ගුණාංගයක් එනම් දේශපාලන භූමිකාව පිළිබඳව පමණක් මා අදහස් දක්වන්න කැමති. එම දේශපාලන භූමිකාවට එතුමා මගේ කතාවේදී මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා කියන්නට එතුමාගේ කතාව දේශපාලනයට යොමු වුණ හැටි සහ දේශපාලනයේදී එතුමා අතින් නුණු වැදගත් කාර්යභාරයන් අතුරින් කීපයක් පමණක්. නමුත් කාල වේලාව තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ. 1974 වගේ වෙනකොට නැගෙනහිර පළාතේ විශේෂයෙන් මේ දකුණු කොටසේ කැපී වෙන්න නීතිඥයෙක් තමයි M.H.M Ashraff කියන තරුණ නීතිඥයා. ඔහු දේශපාලනයට යොමු වුණු අවස්ථාව හැටියට එක් ප්‍රමුඛ අවස්ථාවක ඊට බහුතරයක් දෙනා කියන කරුණක් තමයි 1976 පෙබරවාරි මාසයේ පුත්තලමේදී සිදු පොලිස් වෙඩි ප්‍රහාරයෙන් ඉස්ලාම් භක්තික පුරවැසියන් 6 දෙනෙක් මිය යාම. ඒ සිද්ධියේදී එවකට තමිල් අරසු කච්චේ පක්ෂේ කියන්නේ ෆෙඩරල් පක්ෂේ නායකත්වයේ දරූ කංකසන්තරේ මන්ත්‍රී එස්.ජේ.වී කෙල්ලනායක මැතිතුමා මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් බලවත් විරෝධතාවයක් දක්වලා ඒ ඝාතනය හෙලා දැක්කා. ඒත් ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී මුස්ලිම් මන්ත්‍රීවරුන්ගෙන් පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරුන්ගෙන් එවැනි හඬ නැගීමක් මැදිහත් වීමක් නිරීක්ෂණය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේ හේතුව නිසා අශ්රෆ් මහත්මයා හේතුව නිසා සහ එවකට සම්ප්‍රදායික දේශපාලන ජාතික දේශපාලන පක්ෂ කෙරෙහි ඒ කියන්නේ එවකට තිබුණ ශ්‍රී ලංකා ප්‍රමුඛ සමගි පෙරමුණ සහ එජාපය පිළිබඳව දෙමළ භාෂාව කතා කරන මුස්ලිම් තරුණයන් අතර තිබිච්ච විරෝධයක් හේතුවෙන් එතුමා තමිල් දර්ශක පක්ෂයේ දේශපාලනයට නිරත වුණා. එතුමා 1976 පැවති මෑතකදී ගත්තොත් දෙමළ නිජබීම් පිළිබඳව දෙමළ ඊළම් පිළිබඳව කතාව දීර්ඝ කාලීන එකක්. මෑතකදී මතුවුණු උත්පාදනය වුණු අවස්ථාව හැටියට සැලකෙන වඩුක්කොඩේ සමුළුවට TLF ආරම්භ කරපු එකට M.H.M Ashraff තරුණයා සහභාගී වුණා. එහිදී ඒකමතිකව දෙමළ ඊළාමයේ පිළිබඳව කතිකාවතක් දේශපාලන පක්ෂ ඇති නැසීගේ ජේෂ්ඨ තොණ්ඩවන් මැතිතුමත් ඒකට සහභාගී වෙලා තිබුණා. මේ කාලෙදී 1977 ඡන්ද විමසීමේදී එතුමා TLF එකේ දැඩි සහයෝගයක් දක්වපු කෙනෙක්. හැබැයි TLF එක සමග එකඟට තරඟ කර සමන්තුරයට තරඟ කර සම්සදීන් මහත්මයාට ආසනය දිනාගන්න බැරි වුණා. ඒට අමතරව ටික කලක් යනකොට 1981 සංවර්ධන සභා ඡන්ද විමසීම වෙනකොට TLF එකෙන් මුස්ලිම් අපේක්ෂකයන්ට හිතපු තරම් සහායක් ලැබුණෙත් නැහැ. සමහරු කියනවා ලයිස්ට්ට ඇතුළත් කරෙත් නැහැ කියලා. ක්‍රමයෙන් එතුමා දෙමළ දේශපාලන පක්ෂ එක්ක තිබිච්ච TLF එක්ක තිබිච්ච සම්බන්ධයෙන් විතන් වෙන්න පටන් ගත්තා. මේ ඉන්න අතර කාලෙදී ජයා ජයවර්ධන මහත්මයා ජනාධිපතිවරයා කාලේ වටමේස සාකච්ඡාවක් පැවැත්වුවා දේශපාලනඥයන්ගෙන් අපේ පූජක උතුමන් වහන්සේලාගේ සහභාගිත්වය. මේට ප්‍රකට මුස්ලිම් දේශපාලනඥ වූ එකල හිටපු අමාත්‍යවරයෙකු බදුදීන් මොහොමඩ් මහත්මයා නීතිඥ ආසිම් මහත්මයාත් එක්ක සහභාගී වෙනකොට ඔවුන්ට අවශ්‍ය වුණා නැගෙනහිර පළාතෙන් කෙනෙක් එක්ක යන්න මේකට දේශපාලනයට ඍජුව සම්බන්ධන. කැපී පෙනෙන තරුණෙක් ඇටියට ඒකමතික නාම යෝජනා වුණේ මේ M.H.M Ashraff මහත්මයාගේ. එතුමා ඒකට සහභාගී වෙලා නඩි 5ක් ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා. මේ සාකච්ඡාවට එතුමා සහභාගී වෙලා දේශපාලනඥයෝ සමග අඳුරා ගන්න ලැබුණා. ඒ වගේම බෞද්ධ, කිතුණු, හින්දු, ඉස්ලාම් දිවයිනේ සියලුම ප්‍රදේශවල ආගමික නායකයෝ ඇසුරු කරන්න ලැබුණා. මේ අවස්ථාවේදී එතුමාට පෙනී ගියා මේ සාකච්ඡාවලදී පේන්නේ සිංහල ජන වර්ගය නියෝජන වෙනවා. ඉස්ලාමික දෙමළ ජන කණ්ඩායම් නියෝජන වෙනවා. මලේග තමිල් මුස්ලිම් අය අනන්‍ය දේශපාලන පක්ෂයක් තිබුණොත් හොඳයි කියලා මතයක් එතුමට ඇති වුණා කියලා කියන. ඒක අනුසාරේ 1981 විතර පටන්ගත්ත කාතන් කුඩියොල තිබිච්ච සංස්කෘතිය සංවිධානයක් ශ්‍රී ලංකා මුස්ලිම් කොංග්‍රසය කියලා ක්‍රමක්‍රමයෙන් දේශපාලන පක්ෂයක් බවට වැඩෙන්නට පටන් ගත්තා. මේ දේශපාලන පක්ෂය ඒකම 1983 අපේ රටේ අපි දන්නවා දෙමළ ජනතාවට එරෙහිව ක්‍රියාත්මක වුණු කළු ජුලිය කියලා හඳුන්වන අපි ඒක වරහන් ඇතුලේ වගන්තියක් ලියනවා රාජ්‍ය බලයේ නිහඬතාවයේ ආශිර්වාදය මැද ක්‍රියාත්මක වුණු ඒ ජුලි කලබලයේ හේතුවෙන් දෙමළ කතා කරන තරුණයන් මෙම සටන්කාමී සංවිධාන වලට ඊළමේ දිනා ගැනීමේ යුද්ධයට අරගලයට එකතු වෙන්න පටන් ගත්තා. මේකට දෙමළ තරුණයන් විතරක් නෙවෙයි මුස්ලිම් තරුණයනුත් නැගිරින පළාතේ එකතු වෙන්න පටන් ගත්තා. මෙය බරපතල ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණා විශේෂයෙන්ම දකුණු මඩකලපුව ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් අම්පාර දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ මුහුදුබඩ කොටස සහ මඩකලපුවේ පහත කොටස මුස්ලිම් වැසියන් සහ මඩකලපුව අයට මේ තත්ත්වය වළක්වා ගැනීම සඳහා මුස්ලිම් කොංග්‍රසය දේශපාලන ක්‍රියාවලියට තව තවත් යොමු වුණා. මේ යන අතරතුර තමයි ඉන්දු ලංකා ගිවිසුම ආවේ. ඉන්දු ලංකා ගිවිසුමට තිබුණ ක්‍රියාවට එතුමාගේ පූර්ණ එකඟත්වය නොලැබුණත් එතුමා බලය බෙදීමට දැඩි ලෙසම පක්ෂ වූ අයෙක් නිසා වෙන්න ඕනම දෙයක් හැටියට වගේ අපිත් විශ්වාස කරන එතුමා ඒකට එකඟ වුණා. එකඟ වෙලා මේ දකුණේ ඒට විරුද්ධව කණ්ඩායම් ක්‍රියා කරද්දී එතුමා පක්ෂ ලියාපදියට එල්ලා සිටියා. ගහ ට්‍රී දෙමළේ මරන්නේ දෙමළ මරම් යටතේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා මුස්ලිම් කොංග්‍රසය 1988 පෙබරවාරි මාසේ ලියාපදිංචි වුණා. පළාත් සභා ඡන්ද විසීම තිබ්බේ කොටස් 4කට. ඒකට තරම් කරපු වෙඩිහඬ මැද්දේ තරම් කරපු දේශපාලනඥ පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරු මෙතන ඉන්නවා. අපි මැතිවරණ නිලධාරීන් හැටියට ඡන්දේ මෙහෙව්වා. නොවැම්බර් මාසේ තිබ්බා උතුරු නැගිරින ඒකාබද්ධ පළාත් සභාවේ නැගිරින පළාතේ ඡන්ද විසීම. අම්පාර දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ මුස්ලිම් කොංග්‍රසය වැඩියෙන් දිනු මඩකලපුවේ EPRLF ඒකාබද්ධ සංවිධානය වැඩියෙන් දිනුවා. තිරිකුණාමලයේදී සමාන ආසන දිනාගත්තා. ලංකාවේ එකම අවස්ථාව සමානුපාත නියෝජනය යටතේ මොකද බෝනස් එකක් නැති නිසා දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ එක සමාන මන්ත්‍රී දුර ලැබුණේ විපක්ෂය මුස්ලිම් කොංග්‍රසය විසින් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරේ. මේ කාලය තුල තමයි අශ්රෆ් මහතාගේ ඒකාබද්ධ පළාත් සභාවේ ඊට අමතරව මෙන්න මේ කාලෙදී එතුමට පෙනී ගිය එක කරුණක් තමයි එතුමාගේ මව්බසෙන් ඉතාම හොඳ කතිකේ. ඉංග්‍රීසිත් දක්ෂ කතිකෙක් මෙතන දෙකේම කතා කරන්නේ. නමුත් එතුමට සිද්ධ අදහස් වුණා ලංකාවේ බහුතරයක් ජනතාවගේ භාෂාව වන සිංහල භාෂාව ප්‍රගුණ කරේ නැත්නම් බුද්ධ ධර්මයත් යම් ආකාරයකට හැදෑරුවේ නැත්නම් ජාතික දේශපාලනයි ක්‍රියාකාරී වෙන්න බෑ කියලා. එතුමා මේ භාෂාවත් ධර්මයත් ඉගෙන ගන්න පටන් ගත්තා. අපි දන්නවා එක්තරා ප්‍රකට භික්ෂුන් වහන්සේ නමක් සමග විවාදයකුත් කෙරුණා. කොහොම නමුත් මේ සිංහල භාෂාව ඉගෙන ගැනීමටත් ඒ වගේම එතුමා තුළ වාමාංශික ප්‍රගතිශීලී අදහස් තවත් වාමාංශික අදහස් ඇති කිරීමටත් එතුමාගේ ප්‍රිය බිරිඳ වූ පේරියල් ඉස්මායිල් අශ්රෆ් මැතිනියගෙන් සහාය සහ ආභාෂය ලැබුණ බව මම මේදී සඳහන් කරන්න කැමතියි. 1989 දී මේ සටහනේදී කිව්වා වගේ අසස්සාලි මහත්මයා කිව්වා වගේ 1989 එතුමා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට පත් වුණා. මේක තමයි එතුමාගේ දේශපාලන කතාව. එතුමා කරපු ක්‍රියාකාරකම් මගේ වෙලාව කොපමණ ඉතුරුද? තවත් විනාඩි 7ක් විතර තියෙනවා. අපිට එතුමා කරපු විශාල කටයුතු අතරින් වැදගත්ම කටයුත්ත මෙතන සාකච්ඡා වුණා. අපේ රටේ 1946 ඉඳන් තිබිච්ච පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණ පිළිබඳ ලංකා රාජාඥය යටතේ තිබුණේ 8න් එකක් 12.5% ගත්තේ නැත්තම් අපත කැන්සල් වෙනවා. ඩිපොසිට් එක රාජසන්තක වෙනවා. හැබැයි 78 ජනරජ ව්‍යවස්ථාවෙන් ඡන්ද ක්‍රමය වෙනස් කළා. දිස්ත්‍රික් මණ්ඩපයට යනකොට කට් ඔෆ් පොයින්ට් එකට මේ 8න් එක කියන 12.5 ගෙනලා දැම්මා. මේ 12.5 ගෙනලා දැම්මම මොකද වෙන්නේ? කොළඹ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරු 20ක් ඉන්නවා. ඒ කියන්නේ 20න් එකකට මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙක් හම්බ වෙනවා. 20 නේද? 21ක්ම නේ මුල් එකේ. නැත්තම් ගාල්ල දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ 11ක් හිටියා නම් එකක් බෝනස් දුන්නාම 10න් බෙදුවම 10ට මන්ත්‍රී කෙනෙක් හම්බ වෙනවා. හැබැයි 12.5 නැත්තම් කට් ඔෆ් වෙනවා. මේක 1979 ලෝකල් ගවර්න්මන්ට් ඉලෙක්ෂන් එක පළවෙනියෙන් තිබිච්ච වෙලාවේ අම්බලගොඩ නගර සභාවේ වුණා. සම සමාජ පක්ෂයට 89ක් අහිමි වුණා. සම සමාජ පක්ෂයේ ඒ වෙනුවෙන් සටන් කරමින් ඉන්න අතරවල අශ්‍රෆ් මහතා දැවැන්ත නැගිරින පළාතේ හැමෝම කියනවා මේක මේ සුළු ජාතික නැත්තම් මම මේ වචනේ පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ. බොහෝ දෙනෙක් දන්නවා මම පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නියුමරිකල් මයිනොරිටි. සංඛ්‍යාත්මක සුළුතරය මිසක් සුළු ජාතික සුළු පක්ෂ කියලා ජාතියක් නැහැ. ඔවුන් සංඛ්‍යාත්මක තමයි සුළුතරේ. නියුමරිකල් මයිනොරිටි එකට ඕනකමට කරයි කියලා. නෑ ඒක නෙමෙයි. ඒක ස්වභාවික යුක්තිය ඇති කරන ගනිපු එකක්. අපි ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අශ්‍රෆ් මහතාට මුළු ලංකාවේම විකල්ප මතධාරීන් ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් වෙන්නේ ඒක නොතිබුණා නම් ලංකාවේ පවතින ද්විපක්ෂ ක්‍රමයක්. එහෙම වුණා නම් 88 89 වගේ ප්‍රමුඛ ඡන්ද සංඛ්‍යාවක් ගන්න නැති පක්ෂවලට විකල්ප මතධාරීන්ට නැවතත් කැලේට යන්න වෙනවා. ඒක වැළැක්ුණේ මේ 12.5% කරමු නිසා. ඒ වෙනුවෙන් සියලුම ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන් එතුමාට ණය ගැති. හැබැයි බොහෝ දෙනෙක් කියනවා ඒක ආපහු 12.5ට ගෙනියන්න ඕනේ. ඒකට අපි කොයි වෙලාවකවත් එකඟ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. අනික් කරුණ මම පිටු ඇතරිනවා දැන්. අනික් වැදගත් කරුණ තමයි ඒ මේ අපේ රටේ තියෙන නාමික ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයක් නැති වෙනවා 12.5 අඩු කරේ නැත්තම්. දැනට අපිට තියෙන්නේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය කියන එක බහුතරයේ කැමැත්ත ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය කියන එකනේ. ඒ වගේ වැදගත්ම කරුණක් අපේ රටේ දේශපාලනඥයෝ Taman දෙන ප්‍රතිපත්ති දේශපාලන කරුණු පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් අස්වෙන්නේ නැහැ. බොහොම කලාතුරකින්. 1970 ආණ්ඩුව 77 වෙනකන් දීර්ඝ කරයි කියලා ජේ.ආර්. ජයවර්ධන මහත්මයා ඉල්ලා අස්වලා තරම් කරා. හැබැයි දැන් එතුමා ඊට පස්සේ ඒක පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ජනමත විචාරකෙන් දීර්ඝ කරගත්තා. දැන් ඡන්ද තියන්නෙම නැහැ. ඒ වගේම 1994 තිබිච්ච ලෝකල් ගවර්න්මන්ට් එක එතුමා කිව්වා අම්පාර දිස්ත්‍රික්කේ කවුන්සිල් එකක් හරි මට දිනා ගන්න බැරි වුණොත් මං ඉල්ලාස් වෙනවා කියලා. මං හිතන් හිටියේ පොතු විතරයි එතුමට දිනන්න බැරුණේ කියලා. පේරියල් මැඩම් කිව්වා නින්දවුරුත් මුස්ලිම් කොංග්‍රසයේ පරාද වුණා කියලා. එතුමා හැමෝම එපැයි කියද ඉල්ලාස් වුණා. හැබැයි 94 ජයග්‍රහණය කළා. මේ ඒ වගේම ඉල්ලාස් වෙච්ච කෙනෙක් තමයි පළවෙනි ජනරජ ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ තියෙන දී 29 වෙනි ව්‍යවස්ථාව ආටිකල් 29 පරණ සෝල්බරි ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ අයින් කිරීමට එරෙහිව එස්.ජේ.වී. කෙල්ලනායක මහත්මයා ඉවත් වුණා. හැබැයි ඒ ඡන්දෙ තිබ්බේ අවුරුදු 3කට පහුවෙලා. එතුමා ඉල්ලාස් වුණා. ඊට පස්සේ 94 දිනලා පීඒගේ එක්ක එකතු වෙලා ආණ්ඩු කරපු එක මේ ඔක්කොම කියපු නිසා මට ඒ ටිකත් අතහැරලා යන්න පුළුවන්. අනික් කරුණ තමයි එතුමා නුවා කියන ජාතික සමගි පෙරමුණට වඩා සන්ධානය කියන නම ගත්තා නම් හොඳයි. එලයන්ස් කියන එකේ ට්‍රාන්ස්ලේෂන් එක පෙරමුණ නෙවෙයි සන්ධානය. එතුමා කොහොම හරි නුවා කියන එක අරගෙන පක්ෂේ පිහිටෙව්වා. ඒක සිංහල දෙමළ මුස්ලිම් හින්දු බෞද්ධ කතෝලික ක්‍රිස්තියානි මැලේ බර්ගර් ඕන කෙනෙකුට ඉස්ලාම් ඕන කෙනෙකුට විරුද්ධ වෙච්ච එක. හැබැයි අවාසනාවකට එතුමා 2006 දී අපි අතරින් වෙන් වෙච්ච නිසා ඒ පක්ෂය ගෙනියන්න බැරුණා. ඒක එතුමාගේ අභාවයෙන් පස්සේ ස්වභාවික මරණයටපත් වුණා. දැන් එම පක්ෂය අලුත් පක්ෂයක් හැටියට ඒ නම අලුත් පක්ෂයක් විසින් අසස්සාලි මහත්මයා පිහිටවගෙන ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා. මේ ඊට පස්සේ අපිට දැන් බැලුවොත් දෙමළ පක්ෂ, මුස්ලිම් පක්ෂ, සිංහල බෞද්ධ පක්ෂ චාල ගානක් තියෙනවා. ඉස්සර තිබුණා වගේ මේවා අතරින් 1948ට පෙර බිහි වුණු ලංකා සම සමාජ පක්ෂය, ලංකා කොමියුනිස්ට් පක්ෂය, එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය, ජාතික දේශපාලන පක්ෂයක් තමයි අශ්‍රෆ් මහත්තයා හදන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි ජාතික සමගි පෙරමුණ. අපි බලමු ඒකක් ඇතිවද කියලා. දැන් අද වගේ පළාත් සභා ඡන්ද විසීම අතුරුදහන් කරලා තියෙන වෙලාවේ පළාත් පාලන ඡන්ද විසීම ආගියතක් නැතුව තියෙන වෙලාවක අස්ට්‍රොප් මහත්තයාගේ අඩුව අපිට තදින් දැනෙනවා. අපි කවදාවත් කියන්න හොඳ නැහැ ගියේ ලූලා තමයි මහ එකා එයා හිටියනම් කරනවා කියලා නැහැ. එතුමා හිටියනම් මේ ඡන්දේ දිනා ගැනීමේ අරගලයට විශාල ශක්තියක් වෙන්න තිබුණා. හැබැයි අරගලයක් ඇත්තෙත් නැහැ ඇත්තටම. කවුරුත් සද්ද නැතුව ඉන්නවා. අපි වගේ කීප දෙනෙක් කතා කරනවා ඇරෙන්න. දැන් මම කතාව ඉවර කරන්නයි යන්නේ. මේකේ පොඩි අහම්බයක් සිදුවීමක් තියෙනවා. කොමියුනිස්ට් කාරකගේ පුතෙක්ගේ ආරාධනයකින් කොමියුනිස්ට් කාරකගේ සන්නින්ලෝ ගැන කතා කරන්න කොමියුනිස්ට් කාරකගේ පුතෙකුට අවස්ථාවක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. කොමියුනිස්ට් ශාලිගේ පුතාගේ ආරාධනයෙන් කොමියුනිස්ට් ඉස්මයිල්ගේ සන්නින්ලෝ වෙනුවෙන් කතා කරන්න කොමියුනිස්ට් පියසේනගේ පුතා මෙතන නැගිටලා ඉන්නවා. අපේ තාත්තලා බලාපොරොත්තු සමාජ යුක්තිය ඇති වෙනකම් අපි කවදා හෝ ඇති වෙයි කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙමු. අස්ට්‍රොප් මහතා පිළිබඳ සදාදරණීය හා ගෞරවනීය මතකය දිනේවායයි මම කියන්නට කැමතියි. අපේ ඉස්ලාමීය මිතුරන් කියනා පරිදි දෙවියන් වෙතින් පැමිණෙන සියලු දෙනාම දෙවියන් වෙතටම යන්න ඕය. එබැවින් අස්ට්‍රොප් මහතා එතුමා පැතුූ ආකාරයට විශ්වාස කළ ආකාරයට දෙවියන් වෙතම ඉන්නවා. කතාව අවසන් කිරීමට කරන්න නම් නුවා ගැනත් හිතුනම කියන්න ඕන කරුණු දෙකක් තියෙනවා. දෙව්ලොව කඩා වැටුණත් සමාජ යුක්තිය වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී සිටිමු. අඩම්බන් කොඩියුම් තිරණ්ඩාල් මිඩික්කු. බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
Thank you, sir. මන්ද ශප්‍රිය මැතිතුමාණනි බොහොම බෙහෙවින්ම ස්තුතියි. සැහැල්ලුව සරලව හිතට කාවදින ලෙස අපිට මේ අවස්ථාවේ කතා කරපේ ගැන බොහොම ස්තුතියි. Thank you so much for those words. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite the Naqshbandi Sufi ensemble once again to add some color to this evening as we proceed in today's proceedings.
الدين المعيد بظهور نبي أحمد ظهر الدين المعيد بظهور نبي أحمد يا حنانا بمحمد ذلك الفضل من الله يا حنانا 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 كصب السبع المثاني وهوى لطف المواني ما له صل وسلم وبارك عليه
وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
Ladies and gentlemen, to express more thoughts at this occasion and to reflect, I'd like to invite another eminent personality to the podium to speak a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, may we present to you Member of Parliament Honorable M.H.M.
சபைக்கு தலைமை தாங்குகிற திரு ஆசாத் சாலி அவர்களே, ஜனாதிபதி சந்திரிகா பண்டாரநாயக்க குமாரதுங்க, தற்போதுமை விட்டு இங்கே விலகிச் சென்றிருக்கின்ற ஜனாதிபதி மைத்ரிபால சிறிசேன, சபாநாயகர் மஹ்ரூம் M.H.M அஷ்ரஃப் அவர்களுடைய பாரியார் ஃபீரியல் அஷ்ரஃப் அம்மையார், எனது நண்பன் அமான் மற்றும் சபையோர் அனைவருக்கும் முதலில் என்னுடைய பணிவான வணக்கங்கள். 3 வருடங்களுக்கு முன்னர் திரு அஷ்ரஃப் மறைந்த 20வது ஆண்டை நினைவு கூறும் முகமாக அவர் பிறந்த ஊரிலே சம்மாந்துறையிலே ஒரு நிகழ்வு நடந்தது. அதிலே பேருரை ஆற்றுவதற்காக நான் அழைக்கப்பட்டிருந்தேன். இன்றைக்கு இங்கே அவருடைய தாய்மொழியிலே உரையாற்றுமாறு அழைக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறேன். இவற்றை பெரிய பாக்கியமாக நான் கருதுகிறேன். அன்றைக்கு அந்த சபையிலே இருந்த நௌஷாத் இங்கே இருக்கிறார். திரு அஷ்ரஃப் அவர்கள் தமிழ் மொழியிலே கற்றறிந்தவர். மிகவும் சரளமாகவும் ஒரு உயர்ந்த மொழித்திறனோடும் சம்பாஷிக்கக்கூடியவர். இது அவரை தெரிந்த அனைவருக்கும் நன்றாக தெரிந்த ஒரு விடயம். சாதாரணமாக நாங்கள் எங்களை தமிழர்கள் என்று அடையாளப்படுத்தி கொண்டாலும் எங்களை விட எத்தனையோ மடங்கு மேலதிகமாக தமிழ் புலமை உடையவராக இருந்தார், புலவராக இருந்தார். நான் எனும் நீ என்கின்ற ஒரு கவிதை புத்தகத்தை அவர் பிரசுரித்தும் இருந்தார். நான் அதனை படித்திருக்கிறேன். அதிலே மொழித்திறன் மட்டுமல்ல, அவருடைய சிந்தனை எந்த அளவுக்கு ஆழ்ந்த சிந்தனையாளர் என்பது அதனை படிக்கிறவர்களுக்கு புலப்படும். மிகவும் ஆழமான சமூக சிந்தனையாளன், தனிமனித சிந்தனைகளை வெளிக்கொண்டு வருகிற ஆற்றல் உடையவர். அப்படியான ஒருவர் இளம் வயதிலேயே எங்களை விட்டு பிரிந்தமை மிகவும் துக்ககரமான ஒரு விடயமாக இருந்தாலும், நான் இப்பொழுது இங்கே இருக்கிற போது நினைத்தது ஒரு விடயம், 23 வருடங்களுக்கு பிறகும் கூட அவருடைய பெயரும் அவர் நினைத்து எடுத்து சென்ற அவருடைய பாதையும் மறக்கப்படவில்லை. இன்னமும் அது எங்கள் எல்லாருக்கும் ஒரு முன் உதாரணமாக இருந்து கொண்டே இருக்கிறது. ஆகையினாலே ஒருவர் எத்தனை வருடம் வாழ்ந்தார் என்பது முக்கியம் அல்ல. ஏனென்றால் நாங்கள் எல்லாருமே என்றைக்கோ ஒரு நாள் இறக்கத்தான் போகிறோம். ஆனால் குறுகிய வாழ்க்கையாக இருந்தாலும் அந்த வாழ்க்கை காலத்திலே அவர்கள் எதை செய்தார்கள், எதை சொன்னார்கள், எதை விட்டு சென்றார்கள் என்பது பிரதானமான ஒரு விடயமாக இருக்கிறது. அந்த அளவிலே காலம் சென்ற M.H.M அஷ்ரஃப் அவர்கள் இந்த நாட்டின் சிந்தனைக்கு, நாட்டிலே வாழுகிற அனைத்து மக்களுடைய சிந்தனைக்கும் மிகப்பெரிய உதாரணங்களை விட்டு சென்றிருக்கிறார். பலருக்கு இங்கே பேசப்பட்ட சில விடயங்கள் ஏற்கனவே அடையாள இனம், மதம் போன்றவற்றை அடையாளப்படுத்தி அரசியல் கட்சிகள் இருப்பது விரும்பத்தகாத ஒன்று என்று சொல்லுவார்கள். பலர் அதை எங்களிடத்திலேயும் சொல்லுவார்கள். ஆனால் ஏன் அப்படியான ஒரு நிலைமை உருவானது என்பதை சிந்தித்து பார்க்க வேண்டும். அப்படியான ஒரு நிலைமை உருவாவதற்கு அடிப்படையான காரணம், ஜனநாயகம் என்றால் அது எண்ணிக்கையிலே பெரும்பான்மையாக இருக்கிறவர்களுடைய ஆட்சி என்கின்ற ஒரு கீழ்த்தரமான நினைப்பு தான் அதற்கு அடிப்படை காரணம். I'm saying, I will only say this part in English. I'm saying many people look down on political parties with ethnic or religious identities, but they fail to look beyond that and see why those political parties emerged. And the reason why they emerged is that people regard democracy simply as a rule of the majority. And that is the reason why political parties with these identities emerged. அப்படியாக உருவாகி தங்களுடைய அடையாளத்தை நாங்களும் ஒரு மக்கள், எங்களுக்கும் இந்த நாட்டிலே உரித்து உண்டு, சம உரித்து உண்டு, எண்ணிக்கையிலே சிறுபான்மையாக இருக்கிற ஒரே காரணத்துக்காக எங்களை விலக்கி வைக்க முடியாது என்பதை காண்பிப்பதற்காக, நிரூபிப்பதற்காக இப்படியாக பல கட்சிகள் உருவாகி இருக்கின்றன. ஏற்கனவே சொன்னதன்படி ஸ்ரீலங்கா முஸ்லீம் காங்கிரஸ் 80ஆம் ஆண்டுகளிலே தான் உருவாகி பரிணாம வளர்ச்சி அடைந்து ஒரு அரசியல் கட்சியாக 87லே இருந்தது. அதுவரைக்கும் தனியான ஒரு அடையாள கட்சி இருக்கவில்லை. ஆனால் அதற்கான தேவை எழுந்த போது பயப்படாமல், எந்தவித வற்புறுத்தலுக்கு ஆளாகாமல் அதை முன்னின்று செயலாற்றியவர் M.H.M. Ashraff. தமிழ் பேசுகிற இனமாக தமிழ் கட்சிகளோடு மிக நெருங்கிய உறவை பேணி வந்தவர். இறுதி வரைக்கும் எவ்வளவுதான் வித்தியாசங்கள் இருந்தாலும், வெவ்வேறான பிரதிநிதித்துவம் உருவாகி இருந்தாலும் கூட தமிழ் பேசுகிற மக்கள் என்கின்ற அடிப்படையிலே எங்களுடைய கட்சியோடு மிக மிக நெருக்கமாக பயணித்தவர். அதிலேயும் தமிழ் தேசிய பிரச்சனைக்கு தீர்வாக அதிகார பகிர்வு கொண்டு வரப்பட்ட போது, ஜனாதிபதி சந்திரிகா பண்டாரநாயக்கா குமாரதுங்க அவர்களுடைய காலத்திலே 2000 ஆண்டு ஆகஸ்ட் மாதத்திலே புதிய அரசியலமைப்பு ஒன்று கொண்டு வரப்பட்ட போது அதற்காக அரும்பாடுபட்டவர். பாராளுமன்ற வரலாற்றிலேயே மிக நீண்ட உரையை ஆற்றியவர். அந்த புதிய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டத்தை நிறைவேற்றுவதற்கு தேவையான 3/2 பெரும்பான்மை கிடைக்கிற வரைக்கும் பேசிக்கொண்டே இருங்கள் என்று அம்மையார் சொன்னதற்கு இணங்க தொடர்ச்சியாக பேசிக்கொண்டே இருந்தவர். தமிழ் சமூகம் அதை என்றைக்கும் மறக்காது. அவருடைய அந்த இப்படியான ஒரு தீர்வு வர வேண்டும் என்ற வைராக்கியத்தோடு அவர் செயற்பட்டதை நாங்கள் என்றைக்கும் நினைவு கூறுவோம். இன்றைக்கும் அந்த தீர்வு கிடைக்காத ஒன்றாக இருக்கிறது. ஆனால் இப்படியான செயல்கள் மூலமாக, இப்படியான வாழ்க்கை மூலமாக, துணிகரமான செயற்பாட்டின் மூலமாக அப்படியாக ஒரு அடையாள கட்சியை உருவாக்கி இருந்தாலும், அதுவும் பின்னர் இந்த தேசிய ஐக்கிய முன்னணி அல்லது தேசிய ஐக்கிய கூட்டமைப்பு என்கின்ற ஒரு கட்சியை உருவாக்கி முஸ்லீம் இனத்தவரும் தேசிய ரீதியிலே ஒரு கட்சிக்கு தலைமை தாங்குவதற்கு தகுதியுடையவர் என்பதை அவர் வெளிக்கொண்டு வந்தார். ஆகவே அடையாள கட்சிகளாக உருவாகி இருந்தாலும், அப்படியான தேவை இருந்திருந்தாலும், அந்த தேவைகள் பூர்த்தி அடைகிற போது, அந்த பிரச்சனைகளுக்கு தீர்வு வருகிற போது, மீண்டும் ஒரு நாடாக, ஒரு தேசமாக நாங்களும் சேர்ந்து வாழ எங்களுக்கு விருப்பம் இருக்கிறது என்பதை வெளிக்கொண்டு வருகிற ஒரு நடவடிக்கையாக அவர் அதனை ஆரம்பித்தார். அதை கொண்டு செல்ல முடியவில்லை. ஆனால் அவருடைய அந்த தூர தரிசனம் இன்றைக்கும் எங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் ஒரு பாரிய சவாலாக இருக்கிறது. அதை தொடர்ந்து பயணிக்க வேண்டிய ஒரு கடமை எங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் இருக்கிறது. மீண்டும் ஒரு முறையாக இந்த சந்தர்ப்பத்துக்கு நன்றி சொல்லி மீள்கிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
நன்றி திரு சுமந்திரன் அவர்களே. M.H.M Ashraff என்ற மகா மனிதனோட சிந்தனைகளை எங்களை இன்றைக்கு சிந்திக்க வச்சதுக்கு ஞாபகப்படுத்தினதுக்கு மிகவும் நன்றி. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite your sides to the podium because I'm going to invite our chief guest here this evening for her keynote address. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present former President of Sri Lanka, Madam Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga.
ගරුතර මහා සංඝරත්නයන් අවසර venerable clergy of the Muslim and Hindu religions, Madam Ferial Ashraff, Mr. Asad Sali in the chair, Aman Ashraff, Honorable Speaker, distinguished invitees, dear friends. I would first like to thank the National Unity Alliance and the organizers of this event for giving me the privilege of speaking at the commemoration of the 75th birth anniversary of one of Sri Lanka's great sons. And my dear friend and colleague, Mr. M.H.M Ashraff, Minister and President's Council. I have problems in trying to decide where to begin, as Honorable Ashraff's life and works were so diverse and rich. His was a life of many travails, as well as resounding successes. He was a great human, with a very large heart, an exceptional intellect, and great ability to put his beliefs and thoughts into effective action, which is rare today amongst politicians. He had a vision that was humane whilst being practical. He loved everyone, big and small, rich and poor, of all communities. I know that he did not wish to see our nation divided into small parts and groups. He saw it as one big mass of humanity with a shared vision for progress. In short, he was an exceptional leader. Let me reminisce a little bit and go back into the past. I met Ashraff in, if my memory does not fail me, in 1993, whilst I was campaigning for the provincial council elections of the Western Province, while he was a member of parliament and the leader of the Muslim Congress, the SLMC. He sent a message secretly to me through a mutual friend requesting a meeting with me. The secrecy was probably due to the fact that we were living in the era of President Premadasa, and Ashraff was a member and leader of a minority community, and I was a political opponent of the incumbent regime. I did not know Ashraff then, and I thought, why does he want to meet me? I could postpone this, as I was extremely busy at the time, addressing 50 to 60 meetings a day, until well past midnight. I finally arranged a meeting after the messages became strident. At Ashraff's request, at a friend's house, as we all knew my house was being watched by the secret police. He greeted me in a sincerely warm manner, and all my reservations about him melted away. He broached the main subject without losing much time, telling me that he was impressed by my statements on the resolution of the ethnic and religious issues in Sri Lanka, and that he was struck by the sincerity with which I expressed my vision. He added that he had not seen this in any other leader in this country, I could not help being very flattered, but I was mostly deeply touched by the sincerity of his statements and his warmth. He said that he would like to work with my party if I took leadership in it. I agreed on principle without much delay. I believe that at this moment, a mutual admiration society was born between Ashraff and CBK. I remember during the provincial council elections, Ashraff was addressing meetings all over, and we invited him to a meeting in my hometown, which was also going to be my electorate, Attanagalla. The meeting was in Beyangoda. I remember he addressed the meeting and excused himself because he had to go for many other meetings. And soon after he left the stage, I got up to speak. And I began my speech. And just at that time, I think it must have been 6 o'clock, the mosque close by started their evening prayers. I stopped my speech and asked everybody to keep a moment of silence while the prayers were going on. A few minutes now, we were silent, waiting for the prayers to end. I was hoping it will end soon. I suddenly see Ashraff returning to the stage, and I said, "What's up?" He said, "No, I just came to say how deeply touched I am and to thank you for what you did. Very few other Sinhala leaders would do this," he said. So, after my victory at the Western Provincial Council elections, and I assumed the post of Chief Minister, our association continued. I informed my party, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, about the SLMC's willingness to work with us. The discussions continued, and the SLMC joined the coalition, the People's Alliance, for the general elections of 1994 and contested under the symbol of the People's Alliance, which was the chair. During the general elections of August 94, I and my party had very little contact with Mr. Ashraff and his party, as we were all desperately running around during the election campaign. We met once formally with the leaders of the SLFP and the SLMC, where it was agreed that the SLMC would join our government if our coalition would be victorious at the elections. The election was won on 16th August 1994. Ashraff called me from Ampare, where he was contesting an electioneering, to say that he was flying down to meet me. However, matters were not so simple. A businessman close to the UNP and its prime ministerial candidate had sent a special plane to Ampare to bring him down to Colombo and was awaiting him when the helicopter landed to tell him that the leader of the UNP, the late Honorable Gamini Disanayaka, was waiting to meet him immediately. Despite all the pressure that was put on him, Mr. Ashraff had said, "No, I'm first going to meet CBK as promised." I remember well, he arrived at my house in Rosmith Place, looking exhausted and in crumpled clothes. We sat down immediately in my small sitting room, and Ashraff said, "I will keep my word and will join your government. We'll help you to form the government." I asked him if he would join my cabinet, and he replied in the affirmative, but never canvassed for any positions for himself. Another rare feature amongst politicians. I told him that I would offer him an important ministry through which he could work for his people, an opportunity which had been denied to him by the previous governments. He had tears in his eyes as he got up and hugged me and thanked me profusely. The rest is modern history, well known to most of you here, I'm sure. Ashraff then assumed the post of Minister of Ports and Shipping and Muslim Affairs. Suffice it to say that M.H.M. Ashraff was one of the most honest, intelligent and effective ministers in my cabinet. My government implemented the first ever public-private partnership undertaken by any Sri Lankan government in the port of Colombo, with my guidance and under his leadership. It was the first major development of the Colombo port since the British colonialists left our shores. This also brought in the biggest ever foreign investment to Sri Lanka until that time. The process was smooth and successful, as Ashraff gave it the correct leadership. His achievements were many as a cabinet minister and a member of parliament. He never forgot his commitment to his people, using his position in government to carry out many development projects in the eastern province. He did not discriminate against non-Muslims and non-Islamic communities in his home district when carrying, or anywhere else, when carrying out development work. He built a strong and effective party with a vision not only for his people, but also for a united Sri Lanka. He brought many young people into politics and built some of them to be leaders. It is my lasting regret that the party he created with so little, which rose so high, is now split into many parts, thereby weakening the struggle of the Muslim community. Ashraff was passionate about the party he created, the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, and strived to bring it into the national stream as a party committed to the upliftment of not only of his people, but principally as a national party, standing shoulder to shoulder with all major parties, representing all communities in our country. Amongst all his achievements, I would say the most essential one that should be written in letters of gold in the annals of our history is his contribution to the reconciliation process commenced by my government. He was one of the 4 or 5 architects of my year 2000 constitution, together with Honorable Neelan Tiruchelvam, G.L. Piris, and myself. He worked tirelessly at the drafting stage of the constitution, collecting statistics, analyzing them, and presenting them to us till the wee hours of the morning. Ashraff's commitment to national unity and reconciliation among all Sri Lankan citizens was truly amazing. He was utterly and totally committed to the upliftment of his people, and he always believed that to share with everyone was not to be less, but to be more of a human being. To share with everyone was not to be less, but to be more of a human being. He refused to see our nation divided into various parts and to see some communities as them and his community as us. To him, we were all us. I quote President Bill Clinton here, who said, "The most successful societies are those in which everyone has the possibility to empower their own lives, in which every voice is heard, and in which collaboration defeats conflict." I still entertain doubts about the manner of the crash of his helicopter. Was it an accident, or was it engineered by the enemies of peace for which Ashraff fought all his life? It is still a question which is unanswered. He and I both believed, as do the majority of our peoples, that the future progress of Sri Lanka lies in a shared vision and a collective effort to achieve our dream of an enlightened, prosperous nation, where diversity and not difference will reign supreme. Let us today salute an extraordinary political leader and a great Sri Lankan by committing ourselves to build a shared future for our nation based on his ideals. The time to start is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for those powerful words and remembrance and action. Surely, most of us will take it to heart. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to almost the end of what is today's event. I'd like to invite to propose the vote of thanks the Treasurer of the National Unity Alliance, Mr. Naushad Sathar.
Good evening, respected religious leaders, honorable guests, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizing committee and all those present here today, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for gracing this momentous occasion, the 75th birth anniversary commemoration of marhum Al-Haj Muhammad Hussain Muhammad Ashraff, President Council. Today, we honor the legacy of a remarkable individual whose dedication to our nation has left an indelible mark on our history. I want to express our deepest appreciation to Mr. Hazrat Sali, the leader of the National Unity Alliance, for his warm welcome speech, setting the tone for this auspicious gathering. His words have set the stage for a celebration that truly reflects the essence of unity and inclusivity, values that Muhammad Ashraff held dear. We are profoundly grateful to Mr. Aman Ashraff for sharing intimate and cherished memories of his father. Through his words, we have been privileged to gain deeper insights into the life and principles that shaped Muhammad Ashraf's journey, a journey that continues to inspire us all. It's an immense honor to have President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumartunga grace this occasion as our chief guest and deliver the keynote address. Our presence here today underscores the significance of Muhammad Ashraf's contributions to our nation's socio-political landscape. Her insightful words have added immeasurable depth to our commemoration, and we are indebted for her valuable time and wisdom. A special note of appreciation is due to President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumartunga for her generous sponsorship of the venue for this event. Her support has made this commemoration possible in such a dignified and fitting manner. We also extend our heartfelt thanks to President Maithripala Siranayake, Honorable Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abeyawardena, members of Parliament, ambassadors representing Turkey, Saudi Arabia, State of Palestine, for gracing us with their presence. Special thanks to the following: Honorable M.H. Sumandiran, President Council; Mr. Mahinda Deshapriya, former Chairman of Election Commission of Sri Lanka; the Naqshbandi Sufi Ensemble for Qasida; Mr. Yaqub Umar Lebbe and Sri Lanka Rupavahini for the assistance with the video; Mr. Ashik Amindin, our company this evening; and our electronic and media partners. Last but not least, our appreciation goes out to each and every one of you who have contributed in a way, big and small, to make this event a resounding success. Your presence and participation have made this commemoration a truly special and memorable occasion. As we reflect on Muhammad Ashraf's life and legacy, let us carry forward his vision of unity, equality, and progress, and strive to make our nation a better place for all. Thank you once again for being a part of this momentous occasion and for your unwavering support. Wassalam.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Sadar, for those words of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of what is this event, and I would like to have a few parting words as such. From the beginning to the very end, what was, I think, seen and heard was a compilation of a character that has to be emulated, a profile of a Sri Lankan that needs to be followed. And I hope that this message is taken back home for all of us to be sons and daughters of this soil as one. So with those few words, we'll end this session. I'd like to thank everyone else and also invite you. I've been given the glad tidings to invite you for some tea and refreshments outside in the foyer. So please do join and share and reflect on the messages of today, and hopefully it will be carried out for generations. Thank you so very much. Have a very pleasant evening and a pleasant life. Thank you.